So next for you guys, we have Wimbledon coverage. Obviously, it just wrapped up this weekend, and oh my God, like what a matchup for both ends. For obviously the drama of the men's final and how drawn out that whole entire matchup was, but also for the women because we saw Serena Williams challenged. Not only on the court where she was dominated, admittedly, by Romania's Simona Halep, but also from a perspective that is always controversial to try to touch into, which is basically the way that she is socially active and invested in her community and the furthering of what she feels like and bringing to light the things that she feels are pressing issues that
Right.
people of her descent, African American,
She's become so much
need
of
to
a
touch on
social
as their
figure.
platform
Yeah.
has grown to this size,
Right.
right? And Billie Jean King, a retired former great, honestly, of women's tennis, she said that perhaps Serena should focus more on tennis than she should focus on the other aspects. And she said, quote, Mikal,
It has left my mind.
and Serena Williams said that the day that she stops advocating is the day that she dies. And I think that is a really powerful message that she sent out for everybody. And it's a beautiful place for, I think, us to start where it's like it's bigger than tennis for me for a second.
Yes.
And I think that being the whole ideal of shut up and dribble being eschewed down from, it seems like, I'm sorry to stereotype or generalize, but it seems to be coming from the top down from the same people who look the same, sound the same, and come from the same
And
upbringing.
don't have that reach, don't have that social reach and that social cause and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go actually and say the opposite of what this lady said, because I think that maybe Serena at this point maybe should just quit tennis and actually focus on the other stuff, because I mean she's accomplished so much in tennis. Like, what does she have to prove
has
anymore?
nothing to prove to
Nothing
a
to
soul.
prove. She got no more money to make. I mean, you know what I'm saying? She's set. She's proved that she's like the all-time best woman in tennis. Nothing else to prove, bro. Just focus on actually where you can like now make a change, and you can keep doing that into your old age and all that stuff, and it could be a huge, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Serena could be the freaking president of the United States one day. Who knows, man? Like, you know?
I mean,
So-
yeah,
True.
she has definitely a very bright future after sport. But I honestly, I think that she has a lot to prove to
You
herself.
think so?
Having a child, coming back, playing, getting. If you're a competitor, that's something she would put upon
No,
herself.
I guess. But
She's not going to hold it against herself, but you're a competitor saying, I want to be back into the form I was in. I think I'm capable. And if
I get it, yeah.
if you feel like you're not there, like she had a lot of unforced errors and it was just, it looked like sloppiness.
So she's
Especially
not
when you have
focused.
kids late, like because like Tiger Woods, he wanted to win so his kids could remember him winning
Yeah.
something.
But Tiger Woods
Right?
had to redeem
he had to
himself.
redeem him. He's coming back. His story is different. His story arc is different. But I think winning in front of his kids and not just watching video was something for him. Now having kids later on in life, that's not going to be an option. But knowing that you just recently gave birth and you came back and you just come and compete, I think she's won already, and she's coming to try to win Wimbledon again. That's a huge ordeal. That's already, so she's won already, but so I don't think it's as salient a point in necessarily this state. But again, when it comes to activism and athletes, coming back to that, I think the most important thing we can do is understand that these are human beings. They're not just athletes. They're not robots. Yeah, they're getting paid money. What does that have to do with their willingness to speak up on issues? For me, when I hear, like, you know, Fox News outlets or whatever, what have you, slandering, whether it be LeBron James saying something or Kevin Durant saying something, shut up and dribble when that was a thing, or I just don't understand why it has to be the people challenging the status quo that are getting, you know, ran through the paces.
I don't really think she was saying shut up and dribble. I think like she was speaking more to the point that like if you want to be here, if you want to do this, fully commit. You're older. Being a tennis player, as you get older, you need to invest more time than you thought. It's not as easy, and I'm sure Serena's learned that through her process. She's been in her prime forever.
With Billie Jean
But-
being older too, I think what is also missed is that that's not a PC statement.
Yeah.
Like that's not gonna.
There's less of a
that's
filter.
not going to. That's not going to resonate very well with people.
You're right.
Especially when you're talking about you should stop doing. You can do two
Wait,
things at once.
Billie Jean lady the one that played a guy versus a guy? Yeah.
So you broke barriers for women to play against men and prove stuff or whatever, what have you. But then you turn around and because you don't relate to this struggle, you relate to the women's struggle because you're a woman.
Yeah.
But you don't relate to the African American struggle because you're not African American. Yeah. But as somebody who's dealt with ostracization and discrimination, you should then be able to be like, I can't feel how you feel, but I do understand how it feels to be discriminated against. Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you when and where you should be doing that and applying it to sport because those two things can exist at the same time.
Also, like you said, she's an old school lady coming from whatever,
that's it. I'm not,
white old school lady, whatever. Right. And also, I gotta say, I think I watched a documentary or something about that whole like game she had against the guy who was in a lot of debt.
Right.
Could
have been paid off to throw it 100%.
So I don't know.
Well, Serena Williams herself, ironically, said that if she was playing against men, she would be losing the guys ranked in the 200s.
Wow, she actually admitted that. Wow, good for her. Man.
There's a difference.
I'm actually surprised she would
to acknowledge it. You know. People are like, oh, well, what would you... that's good, man. It just shows that realistic perspective.
She's been real.
You know what I'm saying? That's just some realistic perspective.
Ronda Rousey back in the day, I can knock a guy out or something. Like, you know?
I'm sure you could if you were going to a bar and wanted to pick a fight.
With someone that hasn't ever fought, but like...
But that's the thing. The only people that could beat Serena Williams in the world at tennis are the best female players in the world and a handful of men.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Everyone else is losing.
Right.
So it's not that big a deal to be like, yeah, there's 200 people or so that might beat me or something, you know?
Yeah. Anyways, man.
And then obviously in the men's final, I mean, we had a slugfest. It was absolutely crazy between Federer and Djokovic. It's
a classic,
an absolute instant classic. It went to tie break at the very, very end of it. Like it was an amazing.
That's interesting.
It was an amazing situation.
Love those games
and so what happens is you come out in this in this atmosphere. I mean, it's raucous. The whole place is clearly cheering for Roger Federer. I mean, if you hear these points and what's happening as each past point goes down, you can see who the crowd was supporting. So Djokovic won the first set 7-6. And then Federer took the next one 6-1 in complete domination. Mm-hmm. Then another 7-6 war that Djokovic came out on the right end of. And then it was 6-4 for Federer to force the fifth set. And the set went 13-12. And when it's 12-12, what they do is they go a tiebreaker for the whole match. Mm-hmm. 1st to 7.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting is that Federer had him on double championship point. So Federer was up in the final set, and he had him at championship point.
It was 40.
It was 40-15.
And he turned it on.
And Djokovic with his back against the wall, huge. Like he hit one that was a cross court, like lob back corner. Yeah. Can't do anything about it. 40-30, forces deuce, wins the set, comes in, and look what happens.
Serving.
Right?
He was serving, and it was 40-15.
Right.
Yeah.
And you look at how many aces he had, 26-10. He was dominating with his serve, but that just shows you Djokovic, you're right, back against the wall, takes it to another level.
Mm-hmm.
He is the hardest guy to put out, I think, out of like when it comes to Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, out of the three of them, like when his back is against the wall, I mean, he's more dangerous than he was when he started the match. Just last point, like he's more dangerous than he'll ever be. But like Federer is the hardest to put into a compromising position, and he's the hardest guy to take it away from once it's in his hand. Mm-hmm. So for Djokovic to display that, even though Federer is turning 38 in a couple days, it speaks to how dominant Federer is, and it speaks to a bigger point about the longevity of athletes' primes these days. And Djokovic coming out here, I mean, he's only 4 years younger. It's not like this guy's some spring chicken, and he's been around the block. And it's just been an amazing display from both of these guys, and. That's huge for Wimbledon. It's huge for tennis, and it just shows you that people saying that they love parity, that's for certain sports. Mm-hmm. In individual sports, we love dominance.
Right.
We love dominant
When you see
fighters.
someone
We love
excel.
dominant tennis players. We love dominant individuals. But when we see teams like the Warriors dominating, it's an interesting little anecdote there.
Right.
When it's a team and it's a city, it's different. You feel a little bit different. When it's one person, you love
I
dominance.
know. Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it for Wimbledon.